Have you ever just thought about the ultimate shortcut? You know, the idea that if you just said the right words or did the right thing, you could get absolutely anything you wanted? Well, that's not just some fantasy plot. It's one of our oldest and honestly most terrifying stories. It's a story that you find everywhere, across time and across cultures. Okay, let's get into it.
So let me just start by asking you something. What's your price? Seriously, is it to be young again? To be famous? To have some kind of unbelievable talent? It's a pretty tempting thing to think about, and it's right at the heart of what we're talking about today. That super high-stakes deal for something you really, really want.
And this brings us right to the main event, a concept so powerful it's got its very own name.
It's called the Faustian bargain, and the idea is really simple. It's a transaction. You trade something you can't even really measure, something eternal, your soul, for stuff you can have right here, right now. You know, knowledge, money, power. It's the ultimate deal, but the fine print is literally soul-crushing.
To really wrap our heads around this, we have to look at the most famous version of this story, right? The classic deal with the devil. This has been a huge part of Christian tradition and European folklore for centuries.
And listen, this wasn't just some story people told around a campfire. This was a very real fear. People were accused, put on trial, and even executed because of this belief. I mean, take Pope Sylvester II, a brilliant guy so smart that people just assumed he had to have gotten help from a demon. Or this French priest, Urbain Grandier. They literally presented a pact, supposedly signed by him as evidence to have him executed. It was serious business.
Now, what's really wild is how detailed people thought this whole process was. According to the old texts and the witch trial records, this wasn't just a casual conversation. No, there were steps. First, you had to do a ritual to summon the demon. Then you make your offer, you ask for your favor, and you offer your soul. And finally, you seal the deal. If it was a written pact, it was often said you had to sign it in your own blood.
So what exactly was on the table? Well, basically everything you could ever want in the material world. Youth, knowledge, wealth, fame, power, the whole shebang. And on the other side of that deal, the one thing you can never, ever get back. The price was always the same, totally non-negotiable, your soul. And yeah, that came with eternal damnation. It's the definition of high risk, high reward. Except in this casino, the house always wins. Okay, let's shift gears now. Let's see how this same basic idea looks in a totally different framework. In the Islamic tradition, the relationship with these supernatural forces isn't seen as a legal contract. It's something else entirely.
The key term to know here is sihr, which translates to magic. The point isn't to trade your soul. It's more about getting the cooperation of devils, or shaitan. And you do that by pleasing them, usually through acts that are considered totally forbidden or impure within the faith. So it's more about cooperation than a contract. Now, here is the most important part, the fundamental difference. The Quran makes it clear that even if someone manages to perform sihr and get these devils on their side, any harm that comes from it can only happen if God, Allah, allows it. This means the ultimate power never rests with the devil. It always, always stays with the divine.
And this just lays out that difference so clearly. A Faustian pact is like a legal deal where you hand over the power. Sihr is about getting cooperation, but any result is ultimately up to a higher power. Both are absolutely condemned, of course, but one is seen as a foolish, dead-end deal, while the other is considered a major sin, an act against faith itself.
So where does all this leave us today? Let's jump into some more modern ways of thinking about magic, which come with their own ethical codes and, of course, a big debate about whether any of it's even real.
In Wicca, for example, a central principle is the Wiccan red, and ye harm none, do what you will. It's pretty straightforward. It stresses personal freedom. You can do what you want, but it's tied to this huge responsibility, as long as you don't hurt anyone. It's definitely not a free-for-all. The consequences of your actions are everything.
And this idea of consequence gets taken even further with another core belief, which can be summed up with this simple but really powerful multiplier.
This is the rule of three. You can think of it as karma on steroids. The idea is that whatever energy you send out into the universe, good or bad, it doesn't just come back to you, it comes back 3 times as strong. For anyone practicing, that's a pretty powerful reason to think very carefully before doing anything that could cause harm. But outside of specific belief systems, the modern world is pretty split. On one side, you have these incredibly deep-rooted beliefs that spirits or jinns can cause very real-world problems for families, sometimes for generations. But on the other side, you've got a very strong skeptical viewpoint, that it's all just smoke, rope, and mirrors, that what people think is magic is really just mental tricks, or maybe even the result of bad living conditions. So you have to wonder, after all this time, with all our science and technology, why does this idea of the ultimate diabolical deal still have such a powerful hold on us?
I think it's because the idea has evolved. For most of us, a deal with the devil isn't about an actual demon anymore. It's become this powerful metaphor for any time we compromise our morals to get ahead. You know, when we cooperate with something or someone we know is wrong just for our own personal gain.
And that brings it all right back to us, doesn't it? The devils and demons might seem like they're from another world, but the temptation for a shortcut, that's right here, every day. So what are the small Faustian bargains we make? What little principles do we trade away just for convenience, or for a little success? Turns out, this ancient story might be a lot more human than we think.